I'll call the Thursday, July 25th, 2019 Commission meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the 2019 Water Smart Landscape Awards. Welcome, Holly.
I'm Holly Dickman, Water Conservation Specialist. And as all of you are aware, since 2016, one residential and one commercial property have been chosen to receive the Water Smart Landscape Award. The goal of this program is to draw attention to the importance of water conservation in the landscape and to recognize those in the community that are making good efforts towards that goal. Water Smart Landscape is more than just watering those plants correctly. It's a combination of several different gardening practices that together create a beautiful, not only conservative in water use landscape, but also a beautiful landscape as well. And those principles include planning and design, soil preparation, right plants in the right places, practical turf areas, efficient irrigation, proper mulch, and proper maintenance. So it's a combination of all of those things. And this year our residential award winner is Teresa and Patrick Trapp. And we'll just go through a few pictures of their landscape. Their yard exemplifies what it means to be water smart in my mind. The entire yard is landscape plantings of perennials and mulch, and they, and speaking with Teresa, she did mention that they have designed their front yard to capture as much rainfall as possible, so they don't want it to run off their property, they want to capture it on their property, which is a great thing. And there's different pictures of the landscape here from different angles, so it gives you a little bit of an idea of what things look like at various seasons. It changes with the seasons, so some of these pictures aren't from today, but maybe from earlier in the spring. But they do have some great use of creativity. They use the city mulch, they use the city compost, and they also have rain barrels. So they do capture as much rainfall as they can to use in their landscape. And I wish I could show you 500 pictures of their landscape, but we just have a few. Also mentioned their backyard is also certified wildlife habitat. There's no turf grass other than just a little bit of buffalo grass here and there, and the use of perennials, drought-tolerant perennials such as lavender, hens and chicks, daylilies, things like that that we certainly encourage for a water-smart landscape.
Holly, not to interrupt, but I'm not familiar with that, the wildlife habitat thing.
Teresa may have to give you more detail about that because we didn't go into a lot of detail about that, but certainly creates a place for shelter for wildlife, water source as far as, I think she's got upper bath. There's some other things there. For animals to raise young, have water and shelter.
I think you should meet my husband.
Holly, who certifies it then? Who gives?
The National Wildlife Federation
Okay.
That's wonderful.
That's neat.
That is really wonderful.
And do you hire out to do this?
I'm too expensive.
I bet.
So, but if you walk into their backyard, it certainly is very, not seclusive, but it's very a feeling of being in a different place, not in Hayes, or just on the street. And this is a view from their alley of the backyard this spring, which I love, their backyard. So the whole property is definitely worthy of this award. So I'd like to invite Teresa and Patrick to come up and receive their award. They're very heavy. They are heavy. They are heavy.
I get to move the rocks.
Thank you.
Moving on to our commercial award winner, we have the Kansas Department of Children and Families. And their director, Armando Orozco, is here representing that commercial property. This property was chosen as the winner for many of the same reasons that Teresa and Patrick's property was chosen. They have a lot of organic mulch around their planting materials, or around their plants in the landscape. Lots of ornamental grasses, lots of variety. Unfortunately, when I took these pictures, it was right in the heat of summer. Things did look a little bit better earlier in the spring because they do have some catmint and things like that, drought-tolerant perennials that were blooming at that time. But certainly a good use of ornamental plants, not only shrubs but grasses. We also have things like Rosa Sharon. Everything is mulched, and they use buffalo grass. Even the islands in the parking lot have organic wood chip type mulch. Drought-tolerant plants, again, those roses looked better about a month ago before the heat hit. And then this final picture is just a picture of their parking lot, but it drains into a completely buffalo grassed, almost not a ditch, but it's a low spot there. So it's all going into that nicely deeply rooted buffalo grass, which is like what we'd like to see. So it's not escaping that property, it's staying there. So with that, I'd like to invite Armando to come up and receive this award. And with that, if you have any questions, I'll take those. Otherwise,
Thank you, both.
Beautiful. Thank you, folks, for all you do.
Okay, next item on the agenda would be the June 27th, 2019 minutes. Any changes?
None.
All right, next item on the agenda is June 2019 financial statement.
This is a report of financial summaries for the City of Hayes, month ended June 30th, 2019. Revenues in June totaled $8,643,297. That's an increase of $1,010,000 compared to the same period as last year. Notable areas of increased revenue when we compare to June of 18. June is the time for mid-year transfers. They are up $543,571 as compared to a year ago. These include transfers to employee benefits, the general fund, and new equipment reserves from various departments across the city. The bulk of the above-mentioned increase, $328,550, is a transfer that Water and Reclamation make to the Bond and Interest Fund for the payment of the 2017 BGO Utility System Refunding Bonds, and we just started that a year ago. General fund sales tax is up an additional $324,745 as the excess county sales tax was receipted in June. One notable area of decrease, month-to-date water consumption is down 20%, which translates into a decrease of 8.5% water and 59% conservation revenues. Year-to-date, total consumption is down 7%, with revenue down 1%. Expenditures in June totaled $4,986,694. That's an increase of $860,000. Notable areas of increased expenditure: golf course new equipment was up $8,000 for the purchase of a vibratory roller. Library and library employee benefits were up $755,000 due simply to the timing of payment for their approved allocations. A couple of notable decreases. CVB contingency expenditures were off $400,000 due in large part to the transfer at this time last year for the North Vine corridor design and engineering. New equipment reserve expenditures fell $235,687 for the purchase of golf course fairway mowers and a dump truck at this time a year ago. And you may have noticed a credit expenditure last year for water reserve projects in the amount of $62,000. This was a reimbursement by property owners along East 27th for their new water line and service connections. Month-to-date general fund sales tax collections were at $602,286. That's an increase of only $172 or 0.03% as compared to a year ago. Year-to-date general fund sales tax collections are at $3,590,996, up $67,724 or 1.92%. That also puts the 6-month average at 1.92, which is an increase of 1.38 when compared to a year ago. The report of top 10 quarter-to-date sales tax collections by classification was down $45,000 or a negative 2.4% when compared to the same time last year. Those top 10 now represent 74% of the total sales tax collections for June. And finally, the portfolio of certificates of deposit on June 30, 2019 totaled $62.5 million with a weighted average interest rate of 2.4%, up 0.67 from a year ago. Total balance of the money market account on June 30, 2019 was $2.85 million with a current yield of 0.9. Total investments are up $7.8 million when compared to this time last year.
I make a motion that we accept the June 2019 financial report.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any comments? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes 4-0. Next item on the agenda would be citizen comments for non-agenda items. Seeing none. Next item on the agenda, employee promotions and new hires.
Good evening, Commissioners. Jeff Crispin, Director of Water Resources. And I'm excited tonight to introduce to you Kai Scheibler. Kai is our new water plant operator. He started on July 1st of this year. Kai's no stranger to the city of Hayes. From 2012 to 2016, he worked in the Parks Department. Started as seasonal, worked his way up to Maintenance Worker 1. And then in 2016 to 2017, he came over and actually was a water plant operator for us. 2017, he and his fiancee Ashley moved to Garden City, worked down there for a little bit, actually was an employee for the city of Garden City, and then had an opportunity to move back. So we're excited to have he and Ashley back with us. He's jumped right back in where he left off, and little training. So we're excited. He has a great attitude, and we're just happy to have him on board.
Welcome
Welcome
back.
back.
Welcome back.
Good luck.
You know that kid?
Yeah, you know who that is?
You've met, okay.
John Scheibler, Chief of Police for the Hayes Police Department. Tonight I have 2 promotions and 2 new hires for you. The first one is Sierra Rupp. Sierra has been promoted to the position of office manager. Sarah started in the city manager's office as a receptionist. In 2012, we were able to steal her away, and she became the administrative assistant at the Hayes Police Department. She's done an outstanding job, and she does a good job of keeping me in line. As the office manager, Sierra will continue with her administrative assistance duties, but she will also supervise the front office staff. Next one is Colleen Domi. Colleen has been promoted to, and is the new court clerk for the City of Hayes Municipal Court. Colleen started with the City of Hayes in 2009, and she served as the records clerk for the municipal court since that time. When Patty Wolf retired after 30-plus years, Colleen was the obvious choice as the person to step in there, and obviously the most qualified person to be the court clerk. I don't say it enough, but these 2 ladies are instrumental in the successful operation of the Hayes Police Department and the municipal courts. I'm very grateful for their hard work and their dedication. Thank you very much. The new hires, the tall one is Mason Siri. Mason comes from us from Cedar City, Utah. Mason had some family in the area. He visited our community. He liked the community for all the reasons we're already aware of, and he wanted to move here. He had an interest in law enforcement, so he submitted an application. He did very, very well in testing. We're confident that Mason will be a good fit not only for the police department, but also for our community. The last one is Derek Crisenberry. Derek and his wife Lindsay have 4 children. They are Hayes residents. Derek has past experience working in the oil field, the retail floor manager at Ace Hardware, but he's also a veteran of the United States Army. During his background checks, we were following up on him. We found out multiple documentation and multiple people told us, spoke very highly of his courage and his dedication and his service to his country. One guy put it as, if things have gone bad, he's a good guy to have around. So we're confident. Derek also did well throughout the testing process, so we're confident he'll be a good fit for the Hayes Police Department family. Thank you.
Welcome you both.
Welcome.
Thank you for your
Congratulations.
Thank you all.
Scantlin, Director of the Hayes Dispatch Center. I have the privilege of introduce to you tonight 3 new dispatchers. On the far end is Alana Hanson. She started for us on June the 3rd. She's from Hayes, so she's really familiar with the area. She's a Fort Hays State student, also majoring in And beside her is Madeline Sweet. She started for us on June the 12th. She comes to us having been driving around our county for the last, I believe, about 4 years delivering rural mail. So from that, she's come to dispatch. We're delighted to have her. Madeline, her husband, and family live right outside of Victoria, so she gets to drive in to work. And right beside me is Abigail Abby Rivera. She started for us June the 5th. She's from Liberal, graduated from Liberal High School. She lives in Ellis with her husband and 2-year-old son. We're delighted with all of them. They're all doing exceptionally well. So, thank you for
Very good.
Welcome.
Welcome to the
aboard.
city. Thank you.
Jesse Rohr, Director of Public Works, and last but not least, I want to introduce you to Braden Dreher. Braden started with the Public Works Service Division as a maintenance worker on July 10th. Braden worked for about 3 days, and he was off for about a week while he and his wife welcomed their first child into their family. So, he has a new baby boy now, so we're grateful to have Braden on board. He's back to work this week, and he's doing great. So.
Very good. Congratulations to the baby.
Next item on the agenda is consent agendas. Items, I guess these recommendations are Hayes Housing Authority, Audrey Brungart, Hayes Rec Commission, Nancy Jeter. I believe that's it.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Motion and second. Any comments? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Passes 4-0. Next item on the agenda, Municipal Park Tennis Court Resurfacing Awarded Bid.
Good evening, Commissioners. Jeff Boyle, Director of Parks, here this evening to talk about just that, the resurfacing of tennis courts. These are drone video or drone photos that were taken about 3 or 4 weeks ago. You can clearly see the paint coming off the tennis courts. These about 15 years that they've been since they've been painted last. Here's a ground level shot of them, so you can clearly see the concrete showing through. As part of the project, the resurfacing will include the removal and replacement of the crack areas that are in the courts, the expansion joints. There are any hairline cracks that are in the concrete will be taken care of with a quart binder product from California Products. Same product we used 15 years ago, and it's held up well. When we were originally budgeting for the project, had a lot of citizens come forward asking for pickleball courts. We did budget accordingly to provide 2 pickleball courts on one of the tennis courts. This would be how the pickleball courts is set up on court number 4. The yellow line is a dividing net that'd be about 8 foot tall, and then there's a pickleball court on each side of them. We contacted 13 different tennis companies and only received 2 bids, which was unusual, but the low bid from Hellas Construction, Hellas is a very reputable company. They actually did the Fort Hays State Turf, and they had a long list of schools, NCAA schools, high school tennis courts they'd done. Fort Hays State really said they did a really good job for them. Anytime there was an issue they had to come back for, they were more than willing to do that, took care of it, and moved on. So I think it's a great company to work with. They are the low bid at $36,475. We had $50,000 budgeted for the project, so we're $13,000 and some change under budget, which is always good. And we are asking to approve that bid, that low bid from Hellas Construction for $36,475. And I'd entertain any questions if anybody has any.
Where's Hellas out of?
They're out of Texas.
They're out of Texas. Okay.
They've actually done NFL, several NFL teams, Dallas Cowboys, Chargers, Raiders, I believe the Dolphins, all their turf on their field. So very reputable company.
I make a motion that we approve the proposal from Hellas Construction Incorporated for an amount of $36,475 for the resurfacing of 3 tennis courts and 2 pickleball courts in Municipal Park, with the funds budgeted in the 2019 Special Parks and Recreation budget.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Question I would have is, and I don't know if they can answer this yet, once this gets done, do they have an idea like how many tournaments possibly we would host, or is that something that they've even thought about yet?
I don't know that that's really been discussed. I know Hayes Rec right now has, I believe they're called leagues. Is that
Leagues?
correct?
Okay.
I would anticipate, and in talking with Roger, he wants to use those. We actually put up a kiosk down there for 2 things. Number one, tennis court reservations through Hayes Rec, and then also pickleball court if there's a tournament league or tennis tournament league. So we actually put up a kiosk down there so we can hang the reservation for them. So I would anticipate Hayes Rec being involved in that, and I think we definitely have some of that going on.
Well, I know I've, I don't know, for months been following their page on Facebook. I've liked it, and I've seen people from here going, I think Phillipsburg, I think it was Phillipsburg, and I believe people from there coming down here, and I guess that'd be my hope, is hopefully we can draw even, more
Draw
visitors
folks
to
in, yeah,
Hayes.
absolutely.
Yeah, so that's great.
We have had one tournament
Have you?
indoors.
You want to come up to the mic, please?
We always want to know your name.
Yep.
Yeah, introduce yourself,
I'm
please.
Jeannie Michaelis, avid pickleball player.
Awesome.
He's the pro. I just love it. And we have had a tournament in, when was it? In April, sometime in April. We were shooting for 20 teams, 4 on a team, and we got 19 at the end. So we were really pleased with it because we didn't do a ton of advertising. We stayed pretty local.
Sure.
And Roger is doing another one September 7th. And so we hope to maybe grow that. And he said as we go, he would like to possibly see 3 a year.
Awesome.
Right now, fall and spring, but he said possibly get in a 3rd one.
Great.
So, yeah,
Thank
we
you,
definitely
Jeannie.
want to grow it.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Jeff, do we have a timeline on this?
They believe they can start mid-September, and it takes 7 to 10 days to get that done.
So it'll be after the next tournament there.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Okay. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, guys.
And thank
Thank you for
pickleball
coming.
players.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Next item on the agenda, economic development expenditure. Run everybody on?
The 2019 budget contains $87,500 in allocation for economic development activities. The city commission has authorized $45,000 for the year 2 contract with Retail Strategies. The city commission is being presented tonight with allocating the remaining $42,500 to Grow Hayes. And again, that would be funded out of the other contractual services line in the economic development budget. That's part of the general fund. And this was discussed at the work session last week, is why it's on the meeting tonight.
I move we authorize the city manager to allocate $42,500 to Grow Hayes to be funded for the other contractual services, from the other contractual services line of the 2019 economic development budget.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. Any comment?
I just, go ahead, I'm sorry. You were.
Go ahead, Nick. Well, I was just wondering, did you get a response from Retail Strategies? Or you informed them about this?
I have not formally informed them, since the budget process isn't complete. I haven't formally, but I have heard some feedback from them.
I just appreciated the fact that Commissioner Musil brought this up. I don't know that I would have thought about this in advance, and having this to be able to help them out this year, I think is a really good thing. So I appreciate that.
Well, I want to, clarify my remarks last week. I'm absolutely for, economic development, always have been, and I think we need to step on the pedal, in my opinion. I think other people in the community do also. I was a little taken back, like I mentioned to you earlier, Sandy, of the total we're going to give them for the next year and a half. Just thinking, since I've been on here, many different conversations with this group, but to not be negative, this group has totally changed to what the city has asked. And I truly think with Doug running the operation, they're doing a great job. I've been to a couple of the pitch-its that they put on with Grow Haze, and they're phenomenal. And they pack the house. They have people from the community that have businesses in their garage, their basement, whatever, and they're coming out and telling people what they have, and they're awarding them money to help them grow. I know the first one that won, I think, has a storefront now. I mean, to me, that says a lot. So, I'm all for this, and I hope they will continue to do what they look like they're doing. I know, we have possibly a travel plaza possibly coming, and but I'm not going to give them all the credit. I know, Toby, you've been working a lot on that, and hopefully something soon is going to happen. So last week, I definitely first thought I wasn't going to vote for this, but I 100% am going to approve, or I'm going to vote for it. So.
I would point out that I think right now would be a really good time to kind of get aggressive about recruiting, some larger employers, because there's been kind of an uncertainty out there in the last few years whereby you didn't see a lot of companies expanding and or relocating, and we've got a lot of good things going on here in this area, and so I think it's imperative right now that we have a strong economic development effort. The new director, Doug Williams, seems to be really focused, and I think he laid it on the line. He said, you either want to grow some business here or you don't, and I believe I'm hoping we're going to answer that call.
Well, I guess my hope, what will continue, is when you meet with him, he brings up not the same old things like we talked about earlier. You hear new stuff and what he's working on, and I hope he'll continue to reach out to us and keep us up to date, because people in the community ask us all the time what's going on, and he's involved in it, and Doug, thank you for what you've done so far, and hopefully you'll continue to do that.
I think a key thing that Commissioner Musil said too is collaboration is really necessary. And I know that Doug and the city and the county, everybody's working together on a lot of these projects. Nobody's going to go out there and kill it on their own, but with everybody working together, we absolutely will kill it in this community. And I want to congratulate Doug. I kind of keep a list of everything that's going on with Grow Haze, because it's just big. I mean, there's just a lot of things. And as I said last week, the most important part to me of everything that's going on is all the work he's doing with entrepreneurs and getting people to think about Haze and how they can be here and how they can stay here and how they can come home. So I'm looking for big things the rest of this year and coming years. Thanks, Doug.
I would encourage people to stop by Brief Space and talk to Doug or Ernie if they've got questions. Sometimes we don't know everything that's happening, and if they've got a specific question, stop in, talk to Doug and Ernie, and I said, and they'll be more than happy to bring them up to date so everybody knows what's going on. Thank you, Doug.
Can I tell a little story on Doug?
Absolutely.
Just a little one. I know he's
It's a
busy.
nice one.
It is. It's a nice one. He's busy, and he has a million things going on, and I stopped to visit with him, and I just looked at him, and I said, what's happening? He said, I'm tired. A lot of things going on. Thank you again.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Say aye. Opposed, nay. Passes 4-0. Next item on the agenda, 2020 budget review, scheduling a public hearing for 2020 budget.
Based off of the discussion last week, the city commission has changed pages in front of them. Those are the green pages. You can insert those into your budget workbook. The press has them as well. Tonight, we will entertain any more discussion you have on the 2020 budget. There is a work session next week, and then what we are asking is to you to set the public hearing for August 8th at the meeting when hopefully the budget will be adopted. It is highly unlikely this would ever have to happen, but I have to tell the commission, once you set the public hearing, the mill levy cannot go up. You can only go down. Mill levy or total dollars? Yeah.
Mill levy.
So, yeah, right.
Yes, or
Mill levy.
Yeah, no, I think he's right. It is a mill
That's
levy.
what you've said in the past.
But there's no reason why between now and then your mill levy needs to go up anyway. General fund is not supportive of the mill levy. The bulk of your expenditures that you talk about are out of the general fund. If you wanted to shuffle those expenditures, you could do that and still stay within the general fund. So I would entertain any questions, comments, or concerns you have on the budget, and I would ask for this action to be requested.
I move we set the public hearing for the budget for August 8th, 2019, for the 2020 budget.
I'll second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. That's 4-0.
Once again, Toby Doherty, City Manager, with the progress report. City crews installed a new crosswalk at 19th and Hall to aid the TMP students, TMP high school students, to get to and from class. These involve solar-powered, push-button activated pedestrian crossings. This is essentially the same crossings we have a little farther north on Hall Street, and then near Roosevelt School at 22nd and Donald. You may have noticed on Commerce Parkway, we had a section of the road buckled. City crews immediately got on this and had it back in service within 3 days. They had to cut out the buckled section and then pour new concrete, put new expansion joints in. They did a wonderful job with this. Members of the Hayes Fire Department practiced rappelling at the new fire training facility. This was coordinated by Tim Dietrich. And members of the fire department also participated in the Boy Scout Day Camp at TMP campus. The Parks Department once again bailed out the Water Resources Department. Well paid me to say that. The Parks Department seeded the new buffalo grass in at the wastewater treatment facility. This was one of the value-added engineering things that we decided we can do the seeding in-house. We don't need to pay a contractor and engineers to do that. So Parks Department went out there to help, and now we need a little rain to get the buffalo grass in. 4 Days Golf Course, the Parks maintenance staff has been assisting golf course staff with repairs on the front nine cart path. I can tell you that the Parks Director is working right now on an RFP for more cart path replacement. We have the trail fee fund that we utilize to replace cart paths. We have another project that'll be coming forward to you within, if not the next meeting, the following, or not the next work session, the following one. Municipal Park, the Parks Department staff cleaned up the cedar trees around the tennis courts. Those things have a tendency to creep and get a little brushy, so this will help with the drainage, and it'll help with the aesthetics down there. IT added a couple new GIS layers. One of them is the neighborhood revitalization boundary, and the other one is the future development plan. These were added and updated. If anybody goes to hazeusa.com, you can get on the GIS website, and there's a drop-down menu on the left, and you can access the various layers. There's a lot of information accessed off of that base map. Hayes Police Department's going to be hosting the Community Night Out August 1st from 5 to 8 at the Aquatic Park. It'll be free admission, free swim, hot dogs, hamburgers for the first 1,000 people, and I believe there'll be some T-shirts given away.
Can we wear swimsuits
To the meeting, yeah.
Your meeting, you can wear whatever you want.
Go pass.
Department of Water Resources participated in the Wild West Parade. And going into the 2019 budget discussion, we had looked at a very expensive shade structure for the East Basin. This is where the water is stored then before it goes out in the distribution system. They have a hard time keeping chlorine levels on sunny days. Sunlight affects chlorine. And so when you have a wide open body like this, it dissipates the chlorine, and so they have a hard time monitoring, keeping their chlorine levels. So we looked at a very much over-engineered canopy that would go over the top of this. And so Jeff Crispin, Water Resources Director, did his research and realized that there's a cheaper technology in these hexagon-shaped shade balls, and they float on top of the water. They're antimicrobial, and they won't create algae concerns or anything, but they block the sunlight. They can easily be removed and moved when we do maintenance. It is a much cheaper alternative. They did have to do some after-the-fact engineering to make sure they didn't blow out and blow away, but once they got configured, you can see the picture on the right, it was a cheap alternative and they worked very well. So
Good
kudos to
job,
him and his
Jeff,
staff.
good job.
Good
A
job.
much cheaper option.
How many bowls?
22,670.
Thank you.
Have a guess?
I've seen where they did that in a lake in California, and it was several million.
Million balls.
Yeah, they were dumping them
Wow.
out of the semi.
Wow. That's great.
That
It's
is
a
really
great
cool.
technology.
It really is.
What was that number again, Jeff?
22,670.
I think you made that up.
I wanted to make sure you keep the same number.
I have one on my desk, so they're not all.
Oh, okay.
The Bike Across Hayes group spent the night in Kansas on June 10th. Melissa and her staff, along with lots of community representatives, did a good job of hosting the 800 cyclists that were here. They provided shuttle services to and from the attractions and restaurants, and just did a lot of stuff to make them happy while they were here. We had lots of positive comments on Melissa and her staff.
And as a business owner, I can say, wow, it was crazy.
The CVB also assisted area bicyclists in the Tour de Capellen. This is the tour of chapels. And how many chapels did you go to, Melissa? Okay, that's right. There were many routes. There were different routes in different lengths. And then at each chapel, I think there was music set up there to where the bicyclists could rest and listen to some music and before they move on. But again, we heard a lot of good feedback about this event and Melissa and her staff for helping facilitate.
Those bikers were so excited. I heard from so many afterwards. They said they never dreamed it could be that good, and they expect 3 and 4 and 5 times as many next year.
CVB staff worked on behalf with the Hayes Regional Airport to sponsor the July 12th Larks game. And just a few projects updates to end with. We are completed finally with the 43rd, 45th reconstruction. If you remember, that started last year. They got 45th Street done before the first of the year, and then waited until spring to start on 43rd. It was a good project, under $1 million. Both streets needed to be replaced. We're very happy with the product. 41st Street work is continuing. The contract was awarded in May of this year. First thing was a water line, then the culvert, or essentially the very large box culvert under the draw. Roadway is on track right now to be completed by the end of August. And the reconstruction of Elmash and 4th is continuing. It is to be completed by August 19th. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Toby. Commissioner Phelps?
Don't have anything.
I have nothing.
I have nothing.
I have nothing. We adjourn.